What's up, guys? I think I'm gonna leave the headphones off. Ow, this time. Even though I definitely need a haircut. I'm going tomorrow. What is up? It's been a week, obviously. Um, yeah, so 12 weeks down. Um, and a very interesting week. Hopefully, I have enough time because I have a appointment with a chiropractor in about 15 minutes. So, and that's also something I want to touch on in this video. So let's start hammering away here. At the beginning of the week, um, was when the whole thing with when I came out with the article about caffeine, why I was quitting, why you should probably too, and all of the rationale behind that. And that was stemming back. So backtrack to about a week or two ago. I was noticing that on the weekends, whether it was because I set my deficit too low during the week, or because there was psychological stress going on, or as I found last week, different physical stress going on, I was tending to overeat on, especially on the weekends, which is a lot easier to do, less work to do normally, and you're just kind of hanging out, and caused me to meet up with my old buddies Ben and Jerry and get to Chipotle quite often in the recent past, and that was occurring pretty frequently over the past couple of weeks, which is why I mentioned in that article, maybe even though caffeine was suppressing my appetite, um, that in relation when that effect wore off, my appetite would come back and it would feel worse in relative terms. So that's the context around what I was thinking heading into Sunday. And Sunday, I had made up my mind, like, I'm going to go to the gym after I helped my buddy move. But we helped him move for about 6 hours. And I came home and I was shot, but I was ravenously hungry. And I'm like, wow, like, I could eat everything right now. So I basically did. I had like 6,000 calories last Sunday, which was awesome, but I felt terrible doing it. There's always the constant give and take, especially like when I'm supposed to be prepping, um, which is why I don't have a deadline because not because I can't stay committed. It's just because there is a lot for me to still figure out here, obviously. So came back, ate all that stuff. The next day, I'm like, I have to do something positive that will allow me to rein my appetite back in, which is what I thought would happen by hopping off the caffeine. So I quit cold turkey on Monday. I had like the worst headache of all time. I had a really bad like migraine, and I'm like, all right, I need to try and make myself happy somehow. And um, obviously, you go to food, right? So back to Chipotle. And then same story on Tuesday, and both Monday and Tuesday I had about 3,500 calories, and I'm aiming for 2,600 a day, so well over. And I didn't go to the gym because I was feeling like absolute shit. Um, and I'm like, I was at the point where, for a frame of reference, how bad I was feeling. I still have some hydrocodone left over from when I had my back surgery, and I was starting to dig into that. And I took a step back. I'm like, wait a minute. So comparatively, between caffeine and hydro, which is the lesser of two evils here? And at that point, it was the caffeine. So I had a cup of coffee, and the headache went away. But I realized that I still had a ton of like neck pain and pain up, like very high in my neck, cervical spine type stuff. And I'm like, oh, maybe you know the pain wasn't all just from caffeine withdrawal. There was a good deal of pain from caffeine withdrawal and subjective mood from caffeine withdrawal. Um, but probably a lot had to do with how battered, banged up I was from helping my buddy move. So what does that tell me? Plan next time much better. Don't try and make a drastic lifestyle change when you're in a suboptimal physical and mental state. And because that would probably have, if I wasn't dealing with any kind of lingering issue or feeling from that, I probably would have been able to power through it. And that's not to say I jumped back to my regular intake of caffeine. I'm at about half of where I was to begin with, so I'll take that as a minor win. I cut my caffeine intake on a daily basis in half, from being off of it for about 2 or 3 days, which is cool. Um, and you could, I'll try and link that article in the description that I wrote about why you should quit caffeine if you're interested. And then maybe if I do want to quit caffeine in the future, I don't have to do quite cold turkey, but I can do maybe an aggressive taper, just like maybe cut my intake in half. I know a lot of people are like, oh, cut it in half on a week-to-week basis. I would rather cut it in half on maybe like a 1 or 2 day basis, and that's what I mean. I think that would have been manageable. Um, however, hopped back into this week with those two 3,500 calorie days, and my weight got up to like 188, and I was like, ah, shit, because I was down at like 181. Luckily, by the end of this week, as of this morning, I am back at kind of like square one. I was 181.4 heading into last Sunday. I'm 181.4 now. So I was able to do some good damage control over the course of the week. I got a lot of training, and I got like 6 training days. One day I did double, which is why I'm counting it as 6. Oh, and on Friday I had another follow-up DEXA scan, which coincided with the fattier version of me. But I did notice that those extra calories had me moving quite a bit of weight in the gym. Felt great. And my DEXA came out. I was talking to Paige. Shout out to Paige if you're watching this. Over at DexaFit, and I was talking to her. I'm like, I bet, because I was 17.4% the first DEXA scan at 184.6 pounds, and I'm like, I bet this time I'm like 17.8 and 187, and wouldn't you know, that's like exactly what I was. I was 17.8%, and 186.7. So I was 0.3 pounds off of being completely dead on for what my DEXA results were. So maybe I have a sixth sense. Maybe I don't even need DEXAs. That's a lie. I'm going to be going like every other week now, because I don't have any other form of body comp measuring other than that. But yeah, so that showed me that I gained a pound of fat and about a pound of muscle since my previous DEXA scan, which I will take the pound of muscle, AVI, because your metabolism is tied to your lean body mass, and that's great. And I've been gaining a ton of lean mass with the deficit in mind. Anyway, so maybe a small diet break, refeed, whatever you want to call it, with only gaining a pound of fat, and I'm sure a little bit of that is water as well, because it's all gone by now. I'll take that, but I need to kind of find a way to be more adhere better. I feel like since the 9th week, these past 3 weeks have kind of been like I'm still trying to get my footing underneath me, because I went 9 weeks where it was just like, dude, just nailing everything. For some reason, after all that stress in week 9, everything kind of hit the fan at once. Like my shoulder, now my right shoulder is going a little bit, so I'm going to the chiropractor in like 3 minutes to get that checked out, because even on pulling motions now, it's kind of bugging me, so that might be a little bit of an impingement. I was messing around with intermittent fasting for some reason, but there was a really good quote I heard on a podcast by like Sohee Lee. If any of you are familiar, she works with Layne Norton, and they say, like, if you have a diet tendency or training tendency that you can't see yourself doing in a year, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. And I'm like, intermittent fasting might be a good idea every now and again if like I have to skip breakfast because I'm in a hurry or something, but it shouldn't be something that I'm scheduling in. So I went back to the 4-meal template. It's keeping me way more satiated, which is a very simple fix, and for some reason I'm still looking for that magic pill, magic bullet. Intermittent fasting might help, but no. So it's got to be what keeps me consistent, and I'm trying to get back to the consistency of setting up a plan that will get you there, not necessarily as fast as I might want it, but as fast as it could possibly go within the context of how hard I should push myself and how much I'm willing to put um, in terms of put my muscle mass at risk by dieting too aggressively in the first place. I don't want to do that. So I it's again the impatience. I have to be much more patient in terms of the rate of progress, because if I would have channeled those previous 3 weeks into how I did the first 9, I'm willing to bet I'd be in a better situation than I was now. Granted, there were a lot of things that popped up. That legal thing with the marketing course, picking up new clients, so I had a lot of programming to do, a lot of new work with editing for Bayesian bodybuilding and whatnot. I'm not trying to make excuses here, because there are people who do a lot more than I do, and still get shit done. But so that's the plan now, just to kind of get back to a more consistent template, set it up, knock it down, repeat. Doesn't have to be flashy. So I'm going to go figure out what the hell is wrong with my shoulders, because it was hurting on pulling movements. Like I would do shoulder pulls, or what really hurt it was I was going up for pull-ups, and then I just felt like this really sharp pull in my front delts, which is really weird. And then obviously that one time when I was benching and the left one popped. The right one hasn't popped, but it's starting to get that same sensation. So I'm going to figure out what the hell that is, and then get to the gym, hopefully. Yeah, so gotta re-bear down, I guess, if that's a term. But I gotta get out of here, so I'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully you enjoy the new content and the newsletter, and I'll see you next week, or maybe sooner. Who knows? All right, talk to you guys soon.